We will take a moment to review the agenda for the webinar. Today, we will review the merger of the Expeditions and New England States Touring grant programs that Adrian Petrillo will walk you all through. You may have seen and heard about this webinar through last week's newsletter with the details about the merger. And in the second part of the webinar, we'll go over the upcoming Idea Swap event happening on October 30th. We'll review what goes on at Idea Swap, the elements of the day for this year, how to share touring projects, and what happens after the event. So with that, I will turn it over to Adrian.
Great. So thank you, Daniela. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our New England States Touring Program, also known as NEFT, because we have just announced changes where the Expeditions program, which has been our other regional touring program, will be integrated into the existing NEST program. And so I will go over those changes in detail, and you're welcome to send us any questions. So the program goals for this new version of NEST really remain consistent with NEFA's work and our goals for the region, which are to build cultural vitality in New England by supporting artistic excellence and diversity from artists in New England, the nation, and across the globe. We are also looking to stimulate opportunities for collaboration and partnerships among New England cultural organizations and with artists. We are also encouraging projects that provide meaningful interaction between artists and communities and extend beyond the stage. We really have an emphasis on both the onstage and offstage work that happens. And we also believe in removing barriers to participation, whether that's due to race, gender, disability, sexual orientation, class, age, or geography. So I'm going to talk about NEST because there are now several iterations of NEST, some of which you may be familiar with, some you may not, and some that are new. First and foremost is New England States Touring, or NEST 1. This, for many of you, will look familiar. This is how the NEST program has functioned for many years and will continue to function. NEST funds the public presentation and community engagement of a New England artist who is traveling to another New England state. So if an artist is performing in a state other than the one in which they live, a nonprofit organization can apply to the NEST program for grant support. The artist must be listed as NEST eligible on creative ground, and the grants are up to 50% of the artist fee with a maximum of $5,000. And I will note that this $5,000 maximum is a slight increase over what we've done with NEST in the past. Prior to this, the maximum grant award was $4,000. So we're very happy to have the opportunity to increase our maximum grant award. And with this version of NEST, there are 3 deadlines a year: March, August, and December. NEST 2 is a version of NEST that we've had a similar type of version, but not quite this one. So this may sound a little familiar, or it may be entirely new. Either way is fine. So NEST 2 will fund tours of New England artists who are traveling to 2 different states, one of which can be the artist's home state. So in other words, if you are a Boston-based artist and you have an engagement in Boston, that nonprofit organization that's presenting you can apply as long as there is also an engagement that is outside of Massachusetts, and both those organizations that serve as presenters submit applications at the same deadline. So again, NEST 2 is 2 presenters involved in a tour, one in the same state as the artist and one in a different New England state. So again, the artist must be listed as NEST eligible on creative ground. There are 3 deadlines a year, And the grants are, again, up to 50% of the artist fee with a maximum of $5,000. NEST 3 is the new version of NEST and will be familiar to folks who are familiar with the past Expeditions program. NEST 3 will fund tours of artists who may be New England-based or from anywhere in the world, and those tours must include a minimum of 3 cultural organizations in different communities presenting the work in 2 different states. So again, it is a tour of artists from anywhere, New England or beyond, touring to 3 communities in New England in 2 different states. And again, the nonprofit organization presenting the work serves as the applicant. The organizations who are submitting applications may submit up to 3 for this version of NEST. This version also has 1 deadline a year. It will be in March, and all of the presenters on the tour must apply, and they must all apply at that March deadline. These grants are also up to 50% of the artist fee, and in this case, there's a maximum of $10,000. The application process for NEST 1, 2, and 3 will be relatively consistent throughout. The funding criteria will be the same for all versions of NEST, and should be familiar to folks who have applied either to NEST or Expeditions in the past. The funding criteria will look at things like the rationale for artistic programming. In other words, why are you working with this artist and why are you bringing them to your community? We will be looking at collaboration among the organizations who are presenting the artist. So this is particularly relevant for NEST 2 and 3, where collaboration is necessary in order to apply for the grant. We will also be looking at contextual and educational activities that happen within each community, as well as how each organization is removing barriers to participation in their community. And each application is expected to have a diverse source of revenue. The application process will also be relatively similar to the way it has been for both NEST and Expeditions. Each organization will submit their own application. However, there's no longer a lead partner narrative required as there has been for Expeditions in the past. And for NEST 3, because the artist can be from anywhere, a work sample will be required as part of the application. And then these applications will be reviewed by our NEST advisors as well as other peers in the field who we invite to take part in that process, who may be artists, they may be presenters, they may be managers, they may be funders. We are still in the process of identifying those folks, but it will still be a panel review process. So as we look ahead, to reiterate and add a few things. So projects that had been supported by Expeditions touring will now be supported by the NEST program. The Expeditions tour planning that we've had previously will conclude. There will not be an option any longer for funds to develop a tour. The Idea Swap will continue as an important event for sharing regional projects, again, which may feature artists from New England, across the nation, or across the globe. And presentations, projects that are eligible for funding through NEFA's national programs, the National Dance Project and National Theater Project. If a presenter is interested in any of the projects that are available through that program, the presenter must apply to that national program for that support. Previously, presenters could put together an Expeditions tour rather than drawing on NDP or NTP funds. At this time, all projects eligible for those programs must be supported through those programs. And then part of why we are making these changes and we are trying to streamline some work on our end is because we're very excited to share that we will be launching a creation fund to directly support New England artists. And that will be starting, the planning for that has already started, but we will be planning and implementing that in the coming year. And so these changes allow us to add some additional programming to really serve the artists in our region. For the timeline, so here we are. It is fall 2019, and there is a public announcement of NEFA changes. That is what's happening right at this moment. We are also, as I mentioned, in the stages of planning for an artist creation fund. We also have Idea Swap coming up on October 30th, and we will, again, share these changes at that event. And then the first deadline for NEST 1, 2, and 3 will be March 1st of 2020. Any application submitted at March 1st will get notification of funding by mid to late April. And in 2020, we will also have a deadline for the Artist Creation Fund. And will be much more about that coming out shortly.
Great.
So with that, I will turn it over to Daniela to focus a little bit more on the upcoming Idea Swap event, which has become such an important part of our region and how tours are planned and how relationships are built. And again, I encourage you to send us questions through the chat feature, and you're always welcome to call or email us individually as well.
Thank you. Yes, so Idea Swap is coming up. I know that several of you on this webinar have attended before, but for those who haven't, we will take some time to walk through the event, what its purpose is, who attends, how to prepare, and what happens afterwards. So Idea Swap is a one-of-a-kind annual gathering for New England-based arts presenters, cultural organizations, and touring artists to meet each other, network, pitch touring ideas, and really have an opportunity to catalyze new partnerships and collaborations with each other. Our constituents are always looking to meet other presenters and artists, and the Idea Swap is one valuable way we can help organizations and artists meet in person to make personal connections. So NEFA's goal is to facilitate useful networking and to connect individuals with each other in meaningful ways. The Idea Swap is a little different than a traditional booking conference like the Association of Performing Arts Professionals or APAP conference, and even the other regional conferences like the annual Arts Midwest and Western Arts Alliance conferences. There's no exhibit hall or extended performing artist showcases, but there are opportunities for casual networking and different touring project pitches throughout the day, and it's a really valuable opportunity to get inspiration from peers and artists in the region. So you may be wondering who attends. There are a few key stakeholders. We host presenting organizations that book artists to perform in their communities and venues of all sizes from different New England communities, including small, mid-sized cultural organizations, major performing arts centers, and university-based presenters. All the organizations have different staff sizes, different focuses, but our goal is to get a real breadth of the presenting community to participate. New England-based touring artists and ensembles also attend Idea Swap, and this includes many New England states touring or NEST-eligible artists. There are other service organizations who attend, including the New England State Arts Agency staff, our NEST advisors who serve on the program do attend, and in some years, certain funders who serve our regional constituents too. And of course, our amazing NEFA staff will be there. So it's a great opportunity to connect with us in person. All of our program staff will be there, including our Creative Ground staff, to help folks with their profiles. Okay, next slide. So this year, we will be planning to have some traditional elements that we've had in the past. We always do make certain adjustments. At the beginning of the day, we will have a gathering for everyone who hasn't attended Idea Swap before or may not be familiar with NEFA's programs or resources. Right before, during registration time, before the full day kicks off. We will also, as Adrian mentioned, review the regional touring programs and how Expeditions is merging into NEST with NEST 3 and implications there. We'll also include time for 15 project presentations. These are 5-minute presentations that will be presented by presenters and artists. We're really looking for a breadth of different project types, different artistic disciplines, geographic representation, different project scale. And of course, we'll have opportunities for small breakout sessions, which we've called mini swaps. And you can find more information online on the Idea Swap event page for details on how to submit ideas in advance. All of these touring ideas need to be submitted by this Wednesday, October 9th. That's actually something new for this year. We are really hoping to get everyone's ideas in advance in order to help organize the day. We'll also include different table topics during lunch for different cohorts to gather or for people to meet and discuss based on topic or idea. And peppered throughout the day is lots of different facilitated and informal networking. We have assigned everyone to tables for the past few years, so we anticipate doing that again. Again, another reason to register in advance early. And our Creative Ground staff will help everyone with reviewing their profiles, so you can sign up for one-on-one consultations during the breaks at Idea Swap. And then finally, we really want to hear everyone's feedback on projects, and we distribute a project interest survey at the end of the day. And that helps us share everyone's interests with the people who present ideas. So it's really valuable and useful for continuing conversations and potential collaborations for participants. There are a few things to know when considering attending Idea Swap and what to expect from the event. We really do hope people come prepared. We encourage everyone to check our event webpage, to register early, and just do a little research. This year, we're going to plan to share the attendee list in advance. So you're welcome to use Creative Ground, do a little research on any organizations that you may not be familiar with or artists. And it's also an opportunity to brush up your Creative Ground profile in advance, as other people may be wanting to learn more about your work. You are definitely welcome to bring any print materials that you want to share. We'll have a table for people to leave materials, bring your business cards, plan your travel in advance for those looking to stay overnight, book a hotel, get situated. Again, you can find travel details on the event page. But in general, we really rely on everyone's full participation. This includes in advance of the event by sharing touring ideas with us. And at the event, it is primarily a networking event, so we hope people will be engaged and eager to connect with other attendees. We really see the Idea Swap as a space for everyone to be a leader in the field. So we encourage people to connect with us and to reach out, to share any touring idea, really at any stage of development. I think that some folks, we found out recently that there's an assumption that a touring project needs to be at a certain stage of development, close to final, but we actually embrace tours at any stage in their process. One little suggestion is to share your story. Don't just talk about the touring project pitch during a mini swap or side conversations, but people really do enjoy getting to know each other. And the last thing we want to share with all of you is that relationship building really takes time. So the Idea Swap is one day. We try to make it as productive as possible, but we really see this as a first step to building relationships for people and hope that we can help with those efforts. But what happens after Idea Swap is really reliant on everyone's participation in the arts community. Next slide. So the final countdown has begun at NEFA to Idea Swap. As I said, this Wednesday is our deadline for people to submit touring ideas for both the 5-minute project presentations and the mini swap ideas. Again, this is new. In the past, people have been able to sign up on the day of if they aren't selected for a 5-minute project presentation. They could sign up on the day of, but we're actually changing that this year. So if you have an idea that you want to share with participants, please submit online by Wednesday before midnight. Wednesday is also the last day to register for the early bird discount of $40. The registration fee goes up to $60 afterwards. We are almost halfway full, so please spread the word, register if you haven't already. On October 16th, we will notify everyone who is selected for a 5-minute project presentation or a mini swap, so you will hear from our team with more details. On October 29th, the day before Idea Swap, Tuesday evening, New England presenters and arts presenters of Northern New England are hosting some pre-event networking events. They'll be sharing registration information, and we'll have more information on our event page, but that's been a really nice opportunity for presenters and artists to come together in a very casual environment to meet each other and mingle the day before Idea Swap starts. And then, of course, October 30th, we will all gather at Mechanics Hall in Worcester for the event. On this slide, we include a few important things to note about how to pitch an idea. Again, I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but all projects must be submitted by October 9th for project presentations and mini swap ideas. You can find the form through our event page. You can also check out to see all the projects that have been submitted so far. We do highly recommend, especially if you're interested in doing a 5-minute presentation, to submit a high-quality work sample. This helps give us a better understanding of the work, but also the participants as well. An uninterrupted, unedited work sample always works best. Again, touring projects at any stage of development can be submitted, tour-ready work or even work that might not be absolutely ready for touring, but close to for future seasons. In terms of how to pitch, we always try to encourage people to share the artist's vision, to share a little bit about the artists themselves, and to show enthusiasm and passion for the work. I think that can speak really powerfully. We are also interested in knowing and hearing why this project should tour in New England, and going into any specific ways and how it can resonate, any specific communities or populations. You can also share if there are any community engagement opportunities with the work. There's also a blog post from last year with some additional tips on how to pitch. The blog's titled "How to Hit a Home Run with Your Project Pitch at Idea Swap," and you can find a little more specific guidance there. But again, if you're selected for a project pitch or a mini swap time slot, we'll be sharing some more guidance with those who will be participating. And so our goal is to make Idea Swap as useful as possible for everyone, but what happens after is also extremely important. And so we try to share some helpful materials to help people along the way. We will share a full contact list of all attendees that will be posted online. We will also collect the project interest survey results from participants. We'll be providing a digital format of the survey this year, and we'll follow up with everyone a few days after the event to help make connections and help connect people who attended and participated at Idea Swap. Presenters can join APNE and NEP. And the consortia has different resources for their members and frequent meetings throughout the year. So the APNE and NEP leadership will be sharing some details with folks at the event. And NEFA will be collecting any Nest 3 touring projects that formalize in the months to come. So you can expect to get more information on how to share touring ideas that are happening and forming and helping people find touring partners. And then, of course, in January, presenters have a meeting at the Association of Performing Arts Professionals conference at APAP, and there are lots of different showcases and festivals that happen around APAP. The New England artists who are planning the showcase can contact us, and we'll promote all of the showcase details on our upcoming blog before APAP to help spread the word. And of course, we are always open to hearing your feedback, to hearing how we can best support connection building and networking and helping people find touring partners. So if you have any ideas, please don't hesitate to contact us. Finally, I just want to acknowledge and thank our funders and sponsors. The New England touring programs are funded by the National Endowment for the Arts and the 6 New England state arts agencies. They're close partners, and without them, the work would not be possible. And our event sponsors this year for Idea Swap are key corporate supporters, and we're very grateful for their support this year. And lastly, thank you to all of you for joining and listening. We will take the rest of our time together to answer any of your questions. You are at this point welcome to unmute yourself if you'd like to do that, or you can enter questions through the chat box, but we welcome any comments or questions.
So we did have a question earlier about how artists become NEST eligible, and we did respond, which everyone may have seen, that the NEST artist requirements can be found on NEFA's website, but essentially the requirement is that artists have a creative ground profile and that they fill out certain fields within that profile, which are essentially the pieces of information a potential presenter would want to know, and that an artist should be able to fill out pretty easily about their work and what they do. And we should be clear that any New England-based artist who tours is welcome to become NEST eligible at any time. And we do have staff here, particularly Fallon, does an excellent job of helping artists with their profiles on Creative Ground and filling out their fields. So if you know anyone who's not currently NEST eligible and should be, feel free to point them in our direction, and we're happy to work with people in that process.
I would like to add that presenters are now required to complete an updated Creative Ground profile. We do have specific recommendations, and so again, Idea Swap is a good opportunity to get some in-person assistance, but we will be looking at your profiles, so let us know how we can help you. Okay. Well, seems like we may not have received any other questions at this point, but, oh, hold on one sec. We're just trying to, oh.
So with all of the NEST grants, the nonprofit organization who is serving as the presenter applies, and that organization must be a 501c3 nonprofit or a part of government or a tribal organization. The artists themselves, because we do not pay the artist directly, the artist's legal status is not our concern, and they can be incorporated or not. They can be individuals or nonprofits. Our focus is on the presenting organizations who submit an application, because that's who receives the funding directly from us.
A good question. I will just share, I got a question today from an artist about Idea Swap, and since this is very new, we do acknowledge this a new requirement for people to submit touring ideas, even if they want to participate in a mini swap. You don't need to submit a work sample for a mini swap. We don't actually have enough time to show work samples during those smaller breakouts. So you can submit a YouTube link, but for people who are interested in doing a 5-minute project presentation, you are required to submit a Vimeo link that allows us to download a file of that work sample to ensure a smooth tech process. So that's just another pro tip for those looking to submit a touring idea.
Okay. So there was a question about when the $5,000 maximum for NEST kicks in and whether it's for December or until next year. That, in fact, is already in place. That was in place for our August deadline, so that will be true for December as well. And I'm glad that that is happy news for everybody.
Great. Okay, well, we will sign off a little early, but again, thank you for joining us, and don't hesitate to reach out with any additional questions. Our contact information is here on this last slide, and I hope to see you all at Idea Swap, if not sooner.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.